Hi everybody, it's Tatiana and I am coming to do a series review of the Faithful and the Fallen series, which includes Malice, Valor, Ruin, and Wrath by John Gwynne. This is my second time recording this because my first time doing this I was just too freaking giddy and all over the place. And I said there's a way that you can do this and make more sense and not be such a pain in the ass for yourself to have to edit. So we're doing this again. The basis of the series, or basic premise, so to speak, of the series is that there is this god war that is about to take place, or that the people are expecting to take place between Elyon and Azeroth. Elyon is the heavenly god, Azeroth is the god in hell, and these two forces are going to fight each other again. This has happened centuries before, and Azeroth was suppressed, but with that there was the loss of some things that were on Earth at that time, and so it's been building up for centuries and centuries when this huge rematch is going to take place. And where we are when this series starts is everybody's expecting it to be soon. There is a champion of Elyon and a champion of Azeroth. The Elyon's champion is known as, or referred to as, the Bright Star. Azeroth's champion is the Black Sun, and both gods have a representative on Earth who is to go out and find the Bright Star and the Black Sun and bring bring people together to help fight on both sides. That's what's going on when the series begins. I want to give as few spoilers in this first portion as I possibly can, because if you haven't read this, I want to tell you why you should. I am a big fan of fantasy and epic fantasy. Excuse me, I just ate like popcorn before recording this video. And so like seasonings are still there. If you want to actually hear a non-spoiler review of Malice, which I read during the first round of Tome Topple in 2016, I will link that in the description box below. That gives you more of an idea of how the series actually starts. What I will be discussing more is the series as a whole, and once I get to the point where there are spoilers, I will let you know, so that if you are not interested in hearing that, if you want to read this series, you can stop at that point. The things that first of all, I really enjoyed the series because it is written well. Point blank. It moves well. The chapters are short. The chapters are a different character, and the number of characters grows, of course, as the story progresses. That's the way epic fantasies work. The further you get in the series, the more people you have who are influential to the story, so the more perspectives you get. And then you get the huge big picture as you read all of these different perspectives and are piecing the story together as you go along on both sides of the fence. What I really liked about the story are the characters. You have, without speaking of the characters specifically, you have female characters who are strong females who are put in positions where they have to make decisions that they, because of the society that they live in, were not expecting to have to make either at all, at the age that they are, or in the situation and place that they're in as far as the hierarchy of society goes. And they're placed in these positions and they kick ass. Like they're placed in these positions and they make good decisions, and even when they make bad decisions, I don't want to say they always choose the right thing, but even when they make bad decisions, they have strength of character and strength of will enough to follow through with whatever transpires, be it a positive consequence or a negative consequence. And they're strong, they kick ass, and y'all know I love a kick-ass female. They kick ass and they work towards being the person that they need to be based on the situation that they are in. I think I said that well. There are some women who are put in the position, and some women whose perspectives you get in the story, who are put in the position of being victims, and they don't rest in being a victim. They work their ass off to either escape, to be the agent of the other side, whichever side they're on, while they are in captivity, to gather as much information as they can, to help those who are with them, stuck with them, who are on their side, to rebel against the person who is mistreating them. And I really enjoyed that. And a lot of the female characters, or some of the female characters that you meet in the story, are not as prominent as others, but there's that undertone of these chicks who are not just going to sit by and let their situations dictate what's going to happen. I also enjoyed the male characters and how they worked with the female characters. You're dealing with a society that I guess could be termed as archaic. That may not be the right term, but you have, you know, these, you have kingdoms, you have regents, you have kings, queens, and there are these people who are put in, as the story progresses, who are put in positions and having to work with people that they otherwise would not have worked with if they were not forced to do so. And male and female, and getting rid of the thoughts or the perceptions that they had about the people that they have, that they're working with, and seeing them for who they really are on both sides, and then learning to deal with each other in light of that, not in light of what they thought, as well as in light of the tragedy that they experience as they are moving through the story, however far they make it. Well written, well put together, very good characters on both the side of good and evil. There were some evil characters that I enjoyed reading and I actually liked and kind of felt bad for at certain points. And that's not normally a thing for me. Like, normally the evil characters, I like how evil they are. I like them because they're that bad and they work out of that evilness and it just moves the story along so well. This, I don't normally sympathize with them a little bit. So I like that part of it as well. Okay, so that is all of the non-spoilery that I'm going to talk about. If you watch from this point further, I am going to be getting into actual characters that I loved out of this story. So it's going to contain spoilers. So this is for the people who have either already read it, and if you've read it and want to discuss these characters with me in the comments below, I would love that, because I have nobody to discuss this stuff with other than you all on BookTube. Or if you have not read it and you have no intention, if epic fantasy is not your thing, you don't care, then of course you continue. But from this point forward, you are entering at your own risk. So I will start with the female character that I loved above all of the other female characters, and that is Cywin, who is Corbin's sister. And it's kind of like an easy idea that I would like her because she's Corbin's sister, and Corbin is the person who's put forth as the bright star, and he's supposed to be the hero of the day, or the hero on the side of good in this story. But Cywin's loyalty to her family, the way that in each situation, her persistence in maintaining who she is and always trying to find a way out. I mean, she gave Veridis and Connell a run for their money with her numerous attempts to escape and the way that she helped Pendrathrin get, I don't even know if I said his name correctly, but that's the way I pronounced it the whole time I was reading the book. So the way that she helped Pendrathrin get away and told him where he could go, helping Camlin escape, and just putting all of these, even though she was in captivity, well, not when she helped Camlin escape, but even though she was at the point when she helped Pendrathrin in captivity, constantly trying to get away and refusing to kowtow to, is that the word? I don't know if that's the word or not, but refusing to bend and bow under the pressure of being under constant guard, the evilness of Calidus, the appeal of Nae'Thar, because apparently he was this hot-ass king, and each time she is met with an obstacle, she figures out a way to, even if she doesn't defeat it, to work around it and do what she thinks should be done for the side that she's playing on, while staying under the radar. And it's like, I'm not even hiding that I'm doing it, but you can't see me. Loved it. Okay, other characters that, of course, I liked Corbin. I said that in my review of Malice. At that point, he was my favorite character, but then we met Makin. Makin. Okay, this is how I picture. Number one, Makin, Orgel, and Tahir are the three Gidrai brothers who are excellent sword fighters that we meet in book 2, I believe. And I don't know why I pictured, from the start, regardless of the descriptions that were given of them, I pictured all three of them as black. They're not actual brothers. They are three people from, I think, a different, like, not all from the same family, but they all fall under this nation of, or people of Gidrai, who were excellent sword fighters and just strong and resilient. I picture all three of them as black. Makin is the Wolverine of this series, and I have said before, Wolverine is bae. He is the character that I have been in love with in cartoons and comic books since I could read. He's bae. So I picture when Makin roars, or when he growled Lycos' name coming towards the end, after I hear Hugh Jackman as Logan growling in my head, his scream, which is like always on point. That's to me is Macon. Now, granted, he is not someone I would ever want to come across in real life, just like Wolverine, because savage. And what I loved about Macon is, number one, the savagery of him, the commitment that he had to the mission that he was given, which is to protect Halen, and that he and Orville offered themselves up basically to the Ventalen to help Halen and Tahir escape so that Halen could go into protection. And everything that Macon faced, as difficult as it was, as heartbreaking as it was for him, as many times as he wanted to give up, he refused to do so, through being abused, through slavery, through having to fight in the fighting pits, to escaping and getting past some of his savagery to be able to help Fidele in her escape. And then it became all about Fidele, and you fuck with Fidele and you get the old wolf all over again. I absolutely loved him. He is a character I did not want to die, but I knew he was going to die after what happened with Fidele. I knew that was going to happen. But another character that I liked, in spite of the side that he was on, I liked Nathaire. Nathaire is the character that I actually sympathized with, because Nathaire, through this whole ordeal, of course, he thought he was the bright star. And to find out in the most brutal way, because you put yourself out there as this bright star, to find out in a very, very brutal way that you're not, after you've gotten hundreds and hundreds of people under you who have basically been taken as ransom, because none of them wanted to be in that position once they realized what the real deal were. A good number of them fled, but those who didn't, you have to now take the responsibility of, I did this to you. I've damned your soul. And I'm laughing, but I really felt bad for him and having to deal with that, not just knowing that he did that to those people, but being disillusioned with Calidus, and then being disillusioned with himself, and finding out that I'm not who I thought I was, I'm not on the side that I thought I was on. And I thought that was like super duper real, because that often happens in dealing with people. And I could understand where he was coming from. I did not like Calidus, who you weren't supposed to like. But I also didn't like Michael. I just wanted Calidus to be killed. Like, as soon as he was revealed to once everybody knew who he was, I'm like, why are y'all still keeping him alive? Just kill him. And I kind of wanted Calidus to go ahead and kill Nathaire, because that would have put Nathaire out of his misery before he had the chance to turn around and make amends with him being the agent of the devil, the champion of the devil. And once we got to that point of him and his being mad at Veritas for switching sides, bruh, you are an agent of the devil, and that's not who I want to serve. So yes, I am going to switch sides, because you're wrong. And you've lied and you supported all of these lies after you knew that they were a lie. And your mama was raped by a fucking pirate, and you acting like you don't care. So yeah, I wish that once Nathaire found out what the deal was, that either Calidus used the effigy to control him so that at least Nathaire would not have been doing it of his own volition, or he just gone ahead and killed him at that point, because that would have left me continuing to like Nathaire. But yeah, Michael, Michael is probably the only character in the story who, lie actually surprised me. I was surprised, I was disappointed, I was with Corbin. I was with him when let me get from out front of your face before I cut your head off myself. I was with Corbin. Before he even revealed that part of it, I did not like him, because it was obvious that he didn't care about any of the humans that Corbin was in contact with, any of the people that he made promises to and oaths to, and just didn't understand and didn't care to understand how important that was to Corbin, because to Corbin, all I have is my word. I don't have money, I don't have land, I don't have power, all I have is my word. And I promised so-and-so that this is what I would do when I finished here, and this is what I'm going to do. And then Michael's one-track mind and attempts to derail and force Corbin to do what he wanted him to do each and every time over a lie that you created. Okay, my bad, I just got super duper excited. Okay, calm down. So yeah, didn't like Michael. So I think those might be all of the characters that I actually want to talk, the human characters that I want to talk about, that's all I want to talk about for this. If you want to ask me about more people or discuss more people, we can talk about that in the comments below. Can I say I want a woman? It wouldn't fit in my house. Because Storm got to be, first she was as big as a horse, then she got to be as big as a bear. There's no way that she would fit in my house. But I was in love with Storm from the start. When he found the cub as a cub, and all I could picture was these songs saying, Storm is what you want. The loyalty of Storm is what you want in humans. The resilience of Storm is what you want in humans. And she was just awesome. Just awesome. There was no stopping her. Even when she almost got, when I tell y'all, the only reason I started Wrath almost maybe a month after reading Ruin is because I had to know what happened to Storm. Can I say I didn't like the way that the conflict ended? It all ended a little too pretty for me, and I wanted Azeroth to be killed, and I loved all of the swordplay. Major research had to have been done for that to happen, and the way the way that things were described, top notch. Okay, over the characters, I will say, after saying that the story was written very well and it moved very well, I love the short chapters. There were errors in Ruin that bugged me, that should have been caught in editing, and the biggest error that bugged me, and I don't know exactly where it is. I did write in it. There were two errors that really bugged me. One was a misspelling of quiet. It's quite instead of quiet, and that was on page 679 or something like that in my edition. The other is the mix-up of names, and I actually posted, I think, on Goodreads when I did my update, as well as on Instagram. There's a part in the book where you're on the side of Calidus and Aether, and there's a discussion that's taking place, and Uthas is the giant that is talking. However, in the book, Uthas is called Balor, and Balor is on the side of Corbin. And that it took me completely out of the story to see Balor's name where Uthas' name was supposed to be. And that just bugged the crap out of me, because I'm like, this is what editors are paid for. How did this get missed? If you were reading the story and you knew what was going on in the story, that's I'm like, oh, were you just reading? There's no point in... This is my point. There is no point in paying for an editor if your editor is going to work like spell check. Spell check will not correct a word that is not misspelled, even if it does not grammatically fit in that sentence. That is what bugged me. It would not have caught quite, because it still could have fit in the sentence, even though it was meant to be quiet. It would not have caught, it would have caught Balor versus Uthas, because neither of those are words that are recognized in the English dictionary. But as it is a name of somebody in the story, it would have kept going. That is what happened. What's the point of paying an editor, or multiple editors in this case, I think, if they're going to miss such a small detail that makes a big difference in the flow of the story? It completely took me out of the story to actually see that. I went upstairs. I was sitting down here reading it. I went upstairs. I got a pencil. I came back downstairs, crossed through Balor, and wrote Uthas over the top, just in case I read it again, so that I would read the name that was actually supposed to be there. That bugged me. I want to say that there were 4 errors in Ruin, but there was only one in Wrath that I remember, and I didn't even mark it. Because I couldn't stop at the point when I was reading. It was another misspelled word, but that bothered. It didn't happen in the first 2 books. It just happened here. I was like, how? That was one issue. Then for some reason, now, if it happened in book 1 or 2, which it probably didn't happen in book 1 because there wasn't as much fighting in book 1, so book 2 is where some of the battle action really started, on to book 4. But if it happened in book 2, it did not make as much of an impression. People hate the word moist. I personally like the word moist. I don't think anything describes moist like the word moist. And for those of you who don't like the word moist, I have just irritated you by saying moist over and over again. Sluiced. And I don't like it because it's a word that comes with a sound. Like, to read that somebody is eviscerated and then their intestines sluiced out of their stomach. It's a word that comes with a sound. And oh my gosh, for some reason, sluiced was introduced in book 3, and over and over and over again it was used. I was like, oh my gosh. I hate this word. And it was used a few times. It wasn't used as much in book 4 as it was in book 3. But every time I saw it in book 3, it made me itch. And that's not to say that it didn't fit, because it perfectly described what was happening to bodies as they were being sliced and diced in the act of battle. But oh my word, if I never read that word again, I would be okay. And watch, it's all over the next series, because there's another series that John Gwynne is working on that's set in the same setting that he's created in The Faithful and the Fallen. So watch, it's all over that series when I get through it. Final part, because I have been talking for over a half an hour. It's just 7. It ended too pretty for me. With all of the battles and fighting and dying that took place up to that point, we lost. So I say we like I really knew them, but we lost some really good characters as the story went about in this fight and battle to defeat Azeroth. Alien, you never see Alien. All you see are Alien's angels, and they are not the most virtuous beings, their damn selves. But Azeroth becomes flesh, and he comes to kick ass and take names and basically kill. If you kill all humans, who are you going to rule? Because obviously your demonic minions, they just do whatever they want to do, and you had your own realm to do that in. So what the hell are you going to do if you kill all the humans? You have no fodder. Anyway, for all of that happened, it ended too pretty. For Azeroth not to be dead, no. Having him frozen in carbonite or whatever it is from the cauldron, it was too simple or too pretty of an ending to that whole situation. And Gar took forever to die. So that is all that I'm going to say, and I've said a lot because Big Bang Theory is now on, which means I have been talking for over 30 minutes because I started this before The Simpsons ended. I probably will never read A Song of Ice and Fire. I don't need that in my life. The attachment that I had to these characters, the inability to breathe, the anxiety over not knowing what's going to happen next, but wanting to know what happens next, but needing to stop reading because I needed to breathe, but I needed to get to what happens next. I can't do with that. On a series that's not finished. Like, no. Unfinished epic fantasy, not happening. Not happening. The only exception I'm making for that, Mr. Gwynne, is your next series, because it's worth it for all of this. It's worth it. So, okay. I've rambled enough. I'm gonna go. If you plan to read this series and you kept watching to the end, I told you not to. So, yeah. That's on you. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a good weekend whenever you see this video. Peace out.